I actually haven't. What were they?
ICUs are over 200, which is
Oh, jeez.
18 people died.
Is 200 the highest we've ever had in the ICUs?
Yeah, it was previous on. Now that's 200.
Oof.
So, where do we go from here? Because it still seems like we're in the same holding pattern of the province not stepping up to do something right now. Is there anything on the municipal level that you might consider, or
Yeah, so
not options there?
we're going to have a good conversation later in this meeting about whether there's anything left. I want to remind people that the mask bylaw is back in effect. I think a lot of people may not have realized in all the drama that that has actually happened. I also want to say it didn't have to be like this. This was not a predetermined outcome. And indeed, I've used some pretty harsh language with the province, but that harsh language comes from a place of deep mourning and grief. Remember, my neighborhood went through this in the first wave, losing people. And the fact that we've now seen a video from the Premier saying COVID is over and young people don't really have to get vaccinated because they're not going to get sick. This is the epitome of taking your foot off the brake before the car is stopped. And you recall we talked a lot earlier in the summer about how glowing embers can still start a fire. You got to put the embers out. And the government of Alberta's actions in June and July made fewer people get vaccinated because they thought it was over. And we went from the highest rates of vaccination in the country to the lowest. And this is what happens. What you sow, so shall you reap. And we can still fix it, and we will fix it, and we will work tirelessly to get people vaccinated and to protect people from getting infected again. But it starts with truth. It starts with understanding how we got here, and it starts with the government of Alberta stepping down from their ideology and listening only to the extreme voices and saying we got to do what it takes to keep people safe. They've done it before. They need to do it again. And certainly we here at the City of Calgary will do everything we can within our limited authority to keep people safe.
These 5 events you mentioned, how did that come about, hearing about that? And the 5 events you mentioned, that ended up being canceled?
I probably spoke a bit out of turn, so I should probably wait until I have more detail for you on that. But of course, I do sit on the board of the convention center. And so I have spent a lot of time talking to people in the community at Calgary Economic Development at the Convention Center. I always ask, what are your challenges? And one of the things that I hear a lot is we're having a lot of challenges because people are worried about, people outside of Alberta are worried about what this provincial government will do and if they're committed to keeping visitors and investors and people moving here safe.
So the brand has officially been tarnished because of this response from the province?
For some time, the biggest challenge I've had in economic development has been the province. The biggest challenge I've had are questions about the leadership at the provincial level, and it hurts me to say that because the province has actually done a few very smart things, like the film tax credit, to bring in investment. But certainly this COVID response has amplified that conversation.
Further the question I answered at noon about the change in the city's policy, I know that you see that as a small change, but I'm just wondering, do you know what caused that to change? Was it some feedback from the unions? Was there a legal opinion?
No, I think that, we said a week ago Friday at the city's emergency management committee meeting that we had laid out the policy, but that we were just working on the details of what that looked like, and that is what we are still continuing to.
Okay, so it's not that something happened to cause it to be revised?
No, I don't think so. I will tell you that the vast majority of feedback from city employees, the vast majority, 10 to 1, I would say, has been folks saying, thank you, I want to be safe at work. This is the right thing to do.